How we doing tonight, guys? I know you guys are used to seeing Donnie, Gov, and the three of us. Tonight will only be a solo show as I will give you a quick recap. We couldn't work it out logistically with the different timing issues, and we want to give you the best content available. So I gave the guys tonight off. I said, you know what? I'll review it myself. I'll go ahead and do the solo show. Make sure you stay rested for the UFL show on Friday. So we're gonna come back. We'll be better than ever. The three of us will be ready to go, and we'll give you a lineup builder on Friday night like we always do. But in the meantime, I do want to come out with some consistency and let you guys know that we still do these review shows. Fewer and fewer people are doing content around the UFL, so we don't want to just do a lineup builder show. We also want to give you a review so that way we're transparent. We're giving you a lineup and then we're giving you the results. The first week we did not cash. We came close. Now these contests are smaller. You'll see. I think we finished 24th in this contest. It was a single entry, um, and we ended up making double our money back, which actually broke us even for the week. So that's a good week because it's like a shot on goal situation where being able to take larger chances. And unfortunately, like the UFL is kind of like the WNBA, where if you're a basketball fan, it's like you're not playing the NBA, you can't compare it to the NBA. So these contests are going to be smaller. Just like if you like League of Legends or these video game DFS contests, or you like the WNBA contest, or some soccer leagues, for example, on DraftKings are smaller and they don't always fill. But I do think there's an information gap, that you have to attack. This week, for example, I want to show this before I get into the lineup. We saw one of I would say, the biggest trade that we've seen in UFL history. And so what happened was now the drafting salaries for week 3 are out. So that's going to impact how we build. Speaking of building. So again, join us Friday nights. Or sorry, not Friday nights. I said Friday. The games start on Friday, so join us Thursday night because they do the prime time, Monday nights kind of showdown game, the first game of the week on Friday night. So again, we'll be with you on Thursday night. But the UFL saw a breaking news announcement with one of the first biggest trades, and we saw Marcus Sims, who got noticed a lot last year for his speed. His mom went viral with her sign, all that fun stuff. He was a part of the Michigan Panthers offense, producing pretty well, but they decided they wanted to beef up their offensive line because offensive line is very important in UFL, and we see a lot of that's a position where you're not always going to have the most elite talent playing offensive line. So if you can pick up an extra offensive lineman in this league, it can be a world of difference. So they gave up an offensive, skill player in Sims who has speed, who has shown the ability to be a good outside receiver, and can take things to the house. But they decided to go beefy and get the offensive lineman to help that Panthers team try to make the playoffs. So I want to mention that now we have a situation where people that were priced as like a third or fourth receiver are now going to be priced as the number 2 receiver, potentially Nakua. Maybe Mariner gets more looks as the number 1. I think Mariner, so everyone's underpriced. Like Mariner's like $7K this week. He's not priced as the number 1, or at least not priced for the volume that he may receive. He's been getting like 4 or 5 targets this season, and now he's probably looking at more like a locked in 6 or 7. So we'll have to see how that looks. Donnie really likes Nakua. I should mention him off the top. I think that's who Donnie would be targeting. We'll find out on Thursday night again as we join you. So you guys can like and subscribe. Again, we try to give these shows as consistent as we can. We give our review show and a lineup builder show each week. We're going to get into the lineup builder show now. I just want to mention that off the top, that we did see one of the first trades, and that's an example of the information gap that you will see. Because like I say, the contest might not be the largest, but we do see information, trades, depth chart. If you're willing to kind of scour the Twitter landscape and follow the beat reporters and follow information you trust, you can make a lot of money. One of my friends actually won the 20 injury max on DraftKings. So we're going to review his lineup before we do the lineup builder show on Thursday. So be ready for that. He's got some insights for us, but he was the winner of that contest. So his lineup will be reviewed on Thursday. But let's get to our lineup builder show just so you can see what we did. We built it again on last Thursday, and these were the results. So we've been loving Kellen Mond because me and Donnie specifically thought the Brahmas would be better. We liked, AJ Smith offense. They are the pass, like you'll see if you look at it, even with him only putting up 6 points. The first week he had 31 attempts. The second week 27. There is quarterbacks in this league that only have thrown 24 passes in the game. So Kellen Mond hasn't been efficient, but this offense is still one of the most pass-happy offenses in the entire league. And he's not being praised for that potential, I feel like. He's still in the low nines, in this upcoming week. And so I probably will go back to Kellen Mond. I have a feeling that the boys will, want to get off the Kellen Mond train. But the problem is he hasn't killed you. We saw Magoo, for example, get hurt on the first play. He literally got people less than 1 point this week. And so I do think this was one of the reasons we cashed. Kellen Mond got 6, but Alex Magoo literally got, I think, maybe 10 yards of a completion on the throw he got injured on. He said his arm's good to go. We're going to have to monitor that information going into the week. Speaking of information edges, so Alex Magoo, whether it is Matt Corral, we're going to have to pay attention to that. But I do think in a normal week where we don't see a quarterback with that high owned like Alex Magoo was for the Stallions, maybe Mond doesn't get there with only 6 points. But I do think that's why we were able to cash. We played it safe. And I love the passing volume, again, of the Brahmas. Like they have been a pass-happy team. They were going against a team that you knew was going to put up points. Unfortunately, I did think San Antonio, and I'm glad I didn't lay it because they would have been my future pick. My future pick to make the playoffs, to win this, ship. I bet on some of their props. I was higher on. I thought Kellen Mond and Kirkland would get off to a better start. I thought they would use Stevenson more. They haven't used Stevenson. Speaking of speedy receivers, we talked about Sims last year, getting traded and being the speed option last year for the Michigan Panthers. Stevenson was the speed option for this Brahmas team last year. He hasn't really been involved. Ward had a NFL pedigree, so I thought this offense is going to get off to a great start. We talked about Harris last week, got off to a great start week 1, played some snaps with the Rams. Has the ability to catch the ball, but this offense just their timing looks off. And then Kellen Mond threw a terrible interception basically at the end of this game to basically seal it. The Battlehawks ended up cashing in on that and basically sealing the game at that point. I do think, though, playing the Brahmas and playing Kellen Mond did allow us to save some money. We didn't play, Luis Perez. We didn't play Taiamu and some of these other options. So then what happened was we had the money for Sailors. And you will see Sailors had 30 points. He was a must play this week if you were going to cash. He was 53% owned. The initial blush reaction, I know Donnie's not here to defend himself, but I will say we do speak on a regular basis when we're watching these games. And Donnie was saying, I was telling Donnie, I think Sailors is a great play. He's kind of been the king of the league so far. He's been the Christian McCaffrey of this league, maybe even more dominant, maybe like a David Johnson in his prime and DFS purposes. I mean, it's like literally plug and play. You play Sailors at whatever price. Now at the ownership, we're seeing 50, we saw, I think, 50 or 49% last week, 53% this week. I think that number is going to be closer to 65, 70%. I'm going to find out from Gov because Gov's kind of the analytics guy. He's the guy who pays attention to ownership a lot more than I do. So I'd be curious to see where he would project his ownership. I think at this point, though, Sailors, we talked about it in week one, how you have to basically decide whether you play them or not. I think going forward this season, I think that is going to be a discussion we have each and every week. I might potentially fade Sailors this upcoming week if he's going to be 60, 65 and up percentage because yes, he got there, he got the 30 yards. He got so much work and he's one of the few running backs who's actually got the workload. He's involved in the passing game. He's also an express option for this team. Like it's not even that he's getting the workload and he's involved in the passing game. He is their identity. Like they do all the promos, he's involved. The coach talks about him. He's the first mention other than him. You see the 2-point conversion, the kind of the primetime moments Sailors involved. So he is that offense. However, Hakeem Butler has been injured. He was the MVP of this offense last year. He played injured in week one. Basically, was obviously limited. Only saw one target, which was a red zone target, which was basically a fade in the back of the end zone. He dropped that touchdown. I think Butler is going to ramp up at some point. They got a new quarterback, so maybe Pearson takes another lead. He got like 6 to 7 targets, basically the duration of this season. He's definitely involved. They also have Mims, who has NFL experience, who hasn't really been involved. They got a lot of weapons on offense. You're going to see it in the power rankings as we wrap this show up in a few minutes here. You'll see that they are clearly the number one offense. They're clearly the number one team. They have the sack leaders on defense. Like I want to say the two top sack artists basically of this league, the two top edge rushers of this league, I guess you would say, are from the Battlehawks. And as you mentioned, the third guy, the guy who has 2 sacks on the season, comes from the Stallions. Whoever thought their defense was going to be good, he got injured for the year, so he's on the IR. So we're starting to see some injuries and some trades, as I mentioned off the top of the show, really affect things. But like I say, one thing we know is Sailors was involved. The reason I might want to fade it, though, is if we're going to look at 60 or 65% ownership, or even like high 50s, yes, he had 30 and you needed him, but he had 3 touchdowns as well. The guy that I don't understand is a guy we also played just one position up, Adams. He only went up like, I want to say $700. In my early look, I basically built like just a placeholder lineup for this upcoming week. Adams only went up like $400. I think Ken Winston's definitely infusing more of his personality into the offense, being back on the sidelines. Of course, it was his scheme, it was his program, but not being able to run it week one, I think that team like days ago. Adams made like literally the best catch in the UFL season so far this year. I wish I could show it for highlights and spotlight it because it was just an awesome play. You guys should go and try to watch it if you haven't. By the way, the viewership was awesome and tremendous. The UFL basically said that they were surprised, even themselves, how well the FSM1 game turned out for the UFL. So they were impressed. But I'm telling you that the catch of Adams this week was super impressive. He was super involved. I actually think he had a better performance. Like if you said who was the performer of the week, it's obviously Sailors because he got the 3 touchdowns and they just dominated that game. But Adams, unfortunately, is on 0-2 showboats. I just think he's been far and away the best receiver in the league. When Kirkland gets the ball in his hands, he's explosive, but for some reason, they just haven't gotten the ball as much because you look at the 4 catches, he averaged basically 10 yards, over 10 yards a catch when Kirkland touched the ball, especially on this juke and drive kind of move, trying to dive into the end zone, trying to keep his team alive, being really desperate and intentional, really looked good, really got involved late in the game. And that's what we saw week one. Maybe me and Donnie are riding the Kellen Mond in this offense too much. Maybe this is a blind spot that, Gov's going to have to save save the train on, because I just think Kellen Mond has that NFL experience with the Vikings. Kirkland has that NFL experience with the Cardinals, with the Saints. If they just get the ball, if they get the ball to Kirkland easier, like whether it be screens, whether just because that's what the Showboats have done with Perry and Adams. They're just like, hey, you know what? Lassiter is cool. We're gonna use our running backs. They got Caboti, one of their fun running backs involved. I'm sure he's a really good value this week. We'll be talking about Caboti. They got him involved for the Showboats. But one thing the Showboats have done is they said Adams is our guy. He is 100% our guy. No matter what, we are going to force feed him, and he's lived up to it. I'm really surprised that maybe it's this week that AJ Smith of the San Antonio Brahmas hasn't just said, like, you know what, Kirkland's our guy. We're going to make sure he gets 15 or 16 targets in 1 week. I know in week like 3 or 4 of the NFL season, that basically happened with Marvin Harrison Jr., the rookie for the Cardinals. They were like, he got off to a slow start. There was starting to be rumors with him and Murray. And so, they just decided, you know what we're going to do? Gannon and the boys in the Arizona Cardinals in the NFL season decided, you know what? We're just going to give Marvin Harrison, Marvin Harrison, 13 to 10 targets. We're just going to spam the ball. I wish they would do that with Kirkland. He saw 8 targets, but literally I think that could be 16. They obviously have a rapport with Harris. Harris did not look bad. You'll see it as well. We played Harris. He also caught 3 passes for 69 yards. The problem is when this offense has the ball in their hands, they've looked tremendous. They've gotten great yards per catch averages, but we've seen a lot of drops. I believe AJ Smith dropped some passes. Kellen Mond threw a pass to McFadden, who was a running back for the Steelers, who can obviously catch out of the backfield, and Kellen Mond just airmailed the ball right over the head of the running back. Wasn't even close. He threw an ugly interception at the end of the game. And so for as explosive and as NFL ready as this team is, you talk about Kirkland, you talk about Harris playing for the Rams, being an interesting big body kind of box out, like an Antonio Gates style receiver. And that's all available to them. They have one of the most pass-happy offensive coordinators in the league. And for some reason, they're just not getting the ball. Like you see, Adams has 9 catches. He's leading the league in receiving yards, obviously 2 weeks. But you see, he has 38 and 39 for his longest catches. So that tells you that they have a game plan for Jonathan Adams. They decided he is our guy. He is our captain, basically. And we have a scheme for him. We have a setup. He's averaging 14 yards a catch, 23 fantasy points this season. Kirkland has the same ability, and he still only has 8 catches on the season. And I know he has more ability than that. So I will be going back to Kirkland. We'll have to see if we do the double. I don't think we will rely so heavily on San Antonio. But I will say, if they're going to be behind in these games, which they have been the last 2 weeks, maybe if they are behind, we're going to just want to go with them because of the pass volume. We'll have to see. But this was the lineup builder show, guys. Again, dominance from Sailors. You're going to have to decide whether you play them or not. That's going to be up to you. I can't tell you whether you do it. I think there's wrong ways to do it, and I think there's right ways to do it, and you're going to have to decide. Hopefully you guys join us back on Thursday night. Again, like and subscribe on the way out. This was our lineup. We doubled up profit, so we're able to play for next week. Hopefully to see you guys then. Again, like and subscribe on the way out. And if you're playing the Masters this week, good luck on golf. Play some DFS. Have some fun. Enjoy yourselves. With that being said, though, guys, take care. Have a good night. See you guys later.